Log, yeah, log report. 3:21 in the morning, West Coast time, still the 16th of August, 2024. We are in John City, Roseman, California. How are we doing this morning? Uh, Managed to turn on the national media, see what's going on. Looks like out in the Pacific, we got a typhoon kicking Japan's ass. If it's bad enough that they're getting their ass kicked by the earthquakes, now they're going to get their ass kicked by a typhoon. But no, what I was listening to was, unfortunately, and I didn't see the entire news conference, thank God. Corporate media, not to mention the independents, were going after Trump and his slurred speech and his incoherence. Over his, I think, one of the places he haunts in Florida. I don't know if it was Mar-a-Lago or not. But he was surrounded by consumer products, stuff we normally would buy off the shelves. And they focused on MSNBC, not to mention CNN, two guys I'm usually trying to keep track of. They're seeing how Trump's losing his mind over prices of cereal. And he started joking around that he wants to bring Cheerios home so he can play with it. In my limited knowledge of how presidents usually would handle news conferences, I don't think they would have been dealing with consumer products unless they're going to be making a serious bill change or a bill announcement to reflect this uh, changes in prices for food and stuff. Any kind of new regulations, I would understand that. I'm trying to sign an executive order or a bill, and you had products over there. Okay, fine. Visual representation of what the bill would be. No, not this case. No, no, no. He's going to complain about things left and right and says, well, I think I'll play with my cereal. And I'm looking at this, and I'm shaking my head because the American public's buying this bullshit. If they are that into Trump and his lunacy, I suppose that I guess they're more in tune with dementia than I thought, or mental health issues. Because we are dealing with a guy who's got mental health issues. He's been demonstrating it for a hell of a long while. Besides being a narcissistic, egotistical megalomaniac. No, this guy wants to be president without the responsibility. He'll say things, but he hasn't done anything presidential except when he was in office, except bitterly complaining about things left and right. He hasn't made a positive change for anything else that I've noticed. People keep saying, "Oh, but he's the Trump." He, and they would try to have a conniption fit over if he was going to be a positive influence on anybody. Oh, but I made friends with Putin. I made friends with all the other enemies of us others. Yeah, and they're laughing at him too. And the usual allies for our G conferences and allies regarding NATO and UN, and economic allies. Certain organizations out there, organizations for American states, which covers North America, Central America, and South America. Did I ever see him invite any of those leaders to the White House to have a press conference or publicity shots? Hardly. But he always wants to be put on camera. I think he lives more being asphyxiated with a television camera or being with a camera period than anything else. But seeing himself on the news talking about stuff. It just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Is he that much of a narcissist that he wants the camera on himself all the time? He lives on a camera because I'm popular. And apparently he's, yes, I know, computer, shut up. I'm not restarting you just yet. It's driving people crazy that he wants a camera on himself. I understand about that feeling, but yeah, there have been times I actually wanted to put myself constantly on camera, but the thing is, I really don't want to. I don't have the need for it. To record my actions, yes, if I'm putting myself in that kind of willing position of saying, yes, I would have a camera on me to reflect what's going on. But what would get to me is somebody must have the attention because their ego demands it. I hadn't kept track of the Matthew Perry situation. I kept asking myself, is this necessary? Is this needed? And I kept thinking to myself, not really. I mean, if I was really going into a celebrity's life and worrying about this object here, I'm like, no. That's why in one of my earlier videos was talking about, which I'll be posting later on today. In fact, all of them are going to be late anyway. What the hell? I thought I wanted to get topics that were going to be important to me. Social Security is important to me. Hearing what the hell happened, that was important. And as soon as I get the stuff loaded, I've got stuff to be put into the description, links, that would be of help to anybody else who wants to do a little bit of research. Now, concerning about Trump and his mouth, you're on your own. I'm not dealing with that goofball. I'm sorry, I can't deal with a guy like that. He's got too much megalomania going on through him right now, and I don't even want to touch it. J.D. Vance is trying to be smooth, suave. Well, I've got a family, and I'm doing family values. And we all must have kids. Otherwise, what good are you? You don't have no chance to vote. You have no right to vote unless you have kids. And, of course, he can't live that thing down. Catfish situation. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Except trying to make a fool of himself. And there's veterans out there who are still making the point that J.D. Vance, even though he did serve military, he's picking on people who served in the military. Just like his boss. Except Trump's a lot worse. He discounts him. In one of those clips I was seeing that they keep replaying over and over again, Trump is comparing a civilian freedom of Medal of Freedom to the Congressional Medal of Honor, and he disapproves the Congressional Medal of Honor recipients. They're suckers because they get killed or injured, and then they get the Congressional Medal of Honor posthumously, or if they still survived. But you get the Congressional Medal of Honor when you're in the military by doing something heroic. I mean, yeah, there are different levels and different branches of what they're going to get. Distinguished Service Medal is one of those things. Purple Heart is when you get injured on job and you're in the military. I mean, if you're in combat, you're definitely going to get that one. especially if you happen to get injured. And that's the thing. And Purple Heart's something. For those who are drooling over pins and you happen to see the cheap replicants of the other pins that military folks have earned, I think that was the one thing that should have got my attention a long time ago when I was a pin collector. I went to too many surplus stores and also air shows with my brother. And I see an interesting pin and I wanted to collect it. I wanted it for myself. I was going to have it for myself because I wanted my collection. And then I could walk around like everybody else has with pins on their chest and act like a complete fool and idiot. Oh, I serve you guys. I support you guys. That's why I'm wearing these things. But did I ever realize at the time, or was I ever discussed? I mean, was it ever discussed to me concerning about Stolen Valor, or a way of demonstrating my lack of respect for the military by wearing military pins? I thought I was honoring these guys. I mean, I had a vest at one time that actually had science fiction and space stuff all over it. I mean, I had patches, I had a few pins. Sometimes I would replace the pins with military stuff, but it's only when I went out or went to a different job site and I actually had it. I was going to be staying there for a long while, get comfortable a little bit, but stay the professional. There was one company that we argued back and forth concerning about the dress code. I kept telling you, where does this say in the manual that it's not allowed to wear a vest? Where does it say that? You say the dress codes. I'm looking at the dress codes. Here they are. Show me. We argued back and forth on that. And I was still adamant. I was wearing my damn vest. Last day of my job, I was really having a conniption fit. Things were falling apart. But I was wearing my vest. And I was going to tell them, I'm wearing the vest. You don't like it. I don't care. Because legally, it's still part of a dress code. And it's not against it. You didn't say anything about it specifically. You just got a problem seeing this damn stuff. Invite this atmosphere. I made arguments about this one. I may have been wrong. I may have been wrong in this one. Because if I'm going to be going into a semi to almost a professional atmosphere and environment where I would have to dress up, they would allow a polo shirt and they would allow dark pants and dark shoes. Well, dark tennis shoes work anyway all the time. They're good for hiking and good for office work. Dark pants would have been dark Levi's or other kind of dicky pants. And the shirts, well, most of the time it was all polo shirts, no t-shirts, just polo shirts. A bit professional. And if they were monogrammed with the company's logo on it, that was acceptable too. But there had been very rare times at the company I was at that we would have to actually wear professional shirt and tie. I didn't bring in a suit jacket, just a shirt and tie. Just to show a professional look when it was needed, when it was called for, when we knew that we were going to have people over there. Fine. But I made distinctions and I pushed boundaries on those. And I was pushing boundaries when I went over to air shows dressing like a civilian. I know I've seen a few people trying to dress paramilitary. Maybe they were military, maybe they weren't, I don't know. But I didn't want to push my luck. I wanted to wear pins, and I had a bunch of pins, and I threw him on a vest. My brother didn't say a word to me about this one. And all the military air shows, or civilian air shows, maybe that. Did anybody actually question me enough about the damn thing? Why are you wearing this? Well, I'm wearing it to honor the guys. I'm medically 4F. If I told him about that one, it's like, okay, fine, we'll accept that. You're medically 4F and you support our guys. Yeah, I'm a caregiver too to them. So, family member. It's not like I'm going to say, guess what? I was in the military too. Look at all the stuff I've got out here. You know, they actually got websites out there that can actually sell you replicant copies of the medals that distinguished military guys would wear. If they distinguished themselves in any way, shape, or form to the service of the country, they earned it, they would wear it. Even the citation medals, citation badges, unit badges, group badges, whatever they got. And I would see these things online. And I kept looking at this stuff saying, ooh. I wanted so much to be in the military, but I couldn't do it because medically I was 4F. Because of the heart surgery I had at the age of 4 years old, it made me ineligible. I could not serve. But if I was going to serve, I was going to be taking care of my brother, and that's as a caregiver. No problem at all. I'm a caregiver. So I was. And they accepted it. I was also the baby brother to my big brother. So he would also demonstrate that too. But I just showed my enthusiasm at the air shows and stuff. Out there in the public, I wouldn't wear the military pins all that much these days. I just don't. I lost all of them. Except for very few NASA pins. The rest of them had already been gone long ago. I don't want them back. A few of them I actually had kept. Maybe gotten a few of them as well. Just as reminders of what my brother used to do. But I haven't put them out there for show, though. It's just only holding on to them as keepsakes and memorabilia I wanted to hold on to for the rest of my life until I bequeath them to somebody else or something else. But for the most part right now, I support the U.S. military. Anybody who served in a uniform, regardless of what they did. I don't care if they were shoveling shit, or I don't even care if they were being a mechanic or flyboy or military officer. If they wore the uniform, that's cool. As a high schooler at one time, I had did a year of volunteer work at a VA hospital. You know, just me and a group of students coming out to hang out with the World War I, World War II veterans, and we'd play fish. We didn't do poker. We weren't allowed to do poker. We did fish. No, we weren't allowed to play poker. But being in presence of these guys was something. And a way of showing respect to those who've been through it. And I wanted to show a lot of respect for these guys because they did a lot. But I didn't realize that caregivers also did a lot as well. So later on down the road, I started to realize it more and more. Right after Ma died, Dave still wanted to go to different places called stand-downs when they actually had them. Stand-downs are the Veterans Affair group activities for the veterans, both serving and non-serving. Hold on. Damn, I'm thirsty. And I would meet with the veterans out there. My brother and I would talk with them. We sat down at a couple of tables over here and had some chats with them. Got to know some of these guys, hear their stories. And there's one thing about the stories they would tell to the civilians and stories they would tell among themselves. There is a major difference. In front of a civilian, we wouldn't hear what the hell they went through. Among themselves, that's what they tell themselves in private. Even in recovery halls, they would tell themselves of the stuff they went through, but they wouldn't brag about it. Because certain elements of what they went through in the military affected them a great deal than what they realized. A lot more than what they realized. It was needed. It was needed. There have been times that my brother needed to talk to people when he was going through 12-step recovery, clean and sober. He died 32 years sober and clean. 32 years. He could live with that one. I know he could. So could I. But what got to me is he would have a meeting outside the meetings with a few veterans. They would switch conversations like crazy if I happened to come near them. So it meant shuffle out. Stay away. Just let them deal with what they got to deal with. Because there's no way a civilian would understand what the hell the military guys would go through unless they've already been through it with them. Or in situations similar to that they can actually have a point of reference. Since I've never been in any situation like that before, I don't have that. However, anything concerning about earthquakes, yeah, I'll talk about anybody about that shit. You're on this planet, you've been through earthquakes, and you know. We'll talk about that. I'll talk about death. I'll talk about grieving. I'll talk about science. I'll talk about gas bags who are lying through their teeth left and right. Or how about insulting Jewish voters? Yeah, even Trump's doing insulting the Jewish voters out there. Yeah. Other than that, she's quiet. I'm going. My dog is quiet. Thank God. She's having health issues. Take a look at the videos about what I've been talking about. So we'll talk later. This one I'll post way later.